has been suspended and fined after a confrontation with fans. It concerned their support for a visiting player following her comments about transgender athletes. Correspondent Garrett Tenney fills us in tonight from Chicago.
You leave my daughter! She's a minor! She's a minor!
Garbage! Take the shots out! The WNBA Seattle Storm is under fire after a group of teenage girls was harassed at Tuesday night's game for praising star Indiana Fever player Sophie Cunningham, unabashedly stating biological men have no place in women's sports.
We were there with zero negative messaging.
But it wasn't just random fans who targeted the girls, sitting courtside with their signs thanking Cunningham for taking a stand. Seattle Storm co-owner Celeste Keaton allegedly left one of them
suspended.
So we've got this cut here, sorry for the cut off there on Fox News, talking about Sophie Cunningham. Just some teenage girls there supporting Sophie Cunningham, appreciating her for speaking up on behalf of athletics, girls in girls sports and no boys in girls sports. And boy, did it get out of hand in Seattle. Let's get to our next guest here. Excited to welcome back onto the show, Michele Tafoya. She, of course, is a candidate for that Senate seat that is coming up in Minnesota. Michele, thank you for being with us here once again. It's always great to have you with us.
Oh, it's always good to talk to you, Annie. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I want to get your take here on, as somebody who's been around athletics, girls sports, just all of it. You've seen what it's been like. You know where it's come from and where it is right now. What is the WNBA doing? Why can't they get out of their own way here?
That is the billion-dollar question. You know, when the WNBA first started, I was one of the 3 play-by-play announcers on network television covering those games with Reggie Miller, and it was just a fledgling league. It has grown in no small part to just the increase in talent and the star power of Caitlin Clark. And that is really at the heart of this whole story, quite frankly. Caitlin plays for the Indiana Fever, as does Sophie Cunningham. So Caitlin's been beat up. They haven't taken care of her. They haven't stopped people from targeting her on the court. And her teammate, Sophie Cunningham, has sort of become iconic with that pointing gesture she did in the wake of one of those incidents. Well, you go from that pointing gesture to shows up at some UFC fight to now she's saying unabashedly, unapologetically, biological men don't belong in women's sports. And it's a phrase I can't believe we still have to utter.
Amen.
And that some people, have to apologize. Or it's like, this is the basic stuff. This is what Title IX was about. And I think she is turning into an amazing symbol of courage and fearlessness. And I don't care what you think or react to, because what I'm saying is the truth.
Yeah.
And so then you have these little girls saying, thank goodness. And there have been others that have come before. I mean, we've all spoken up about this, but Sophie is really relevant in this moment, and she's given a voice to a lot of young girls. So the fact that you had these little young girls, minors, attending a game, wearing their XXSY athletic shirts and supporting Sophie, and then being spoken to by a co-owner of a WNBA franchise, and then by some dude in the stands afterward, is just remarkable. It's hard to imagine that we're still witnessing this stuff. I'm waiting for the day when it ends, Annie.
Yeah, I absolutely. Michele Tafoya speaking with us right now, running for Senate in Minnesota. Go to micheletaffoya.com. I really am welcoming with such a warm embrace the public shaming of the people who have been doing the shaming publicly. Yeah. Like, let's get back to the place where when Sophie Cunningham says something that, let's just say, at least 50% of the people agree with, but it is way more than that. We have spent quite some time going, well, I agree with her, but I'm just going to keep quiet, out of respect.
Yes.
Less people are, they're like, I get to have my opinion now, and so does Sophie Cunningham.
Well, I think that's right. And I think that this happens on a lot of these controversial social issues that have come up. And this is certainly one of the day. And it is, what I love about her is she has said, I come from a place of love and I love everyone. And this is not about being transphobic. See, this is what people want to do. They want to conflate issues. If you're against illegal immigration, they say you're against immigration. No, I'm against illegal immigration. If you're against boys and girls sports, you're somehow transphobic. No, I'm pro-women. I'm pro-fairness in sport. This is what the left does, and this is their capital. This is how they just try to shame you and plug you in as some sort of, homophobe, racist, white supremacist, whatever kind of name they want to ascribe to you. And that has worked to a certain extent, with some people then shutting down, refusing to speak out. They don't want to be called those names. Who can blame them? But I would also point to some other really brave women. Jennifer Say, the former president of Levi's, who had to give up that job because of her stance on the COVID vaccines and the school shutdowns. She now is the CEO of XXXY Athletics. I think she's going to be in Minnesota this Sunday when the Minnesota Lynx host the Indiana Fever and Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark. And I think she's going to be wearing one of her shirts.
Good.
So I would watch for that. It's going to be on network television. I believe there's a rally before the game. And if there is, yay. So I think this is starting to gain steam. And not only have people, and I don't mean to go on and on about this, but not only have people said, well, I'm going to be respectful and not say anything, there are a lot of professional athletes, male and female, who are concerned about their brand and about their endorsements in coming out and speaking on this. I don't know if my so-and-so sponsor is going to appreciate it if I talk about this. Well, you know what? So many people have made that sacrifice, like Jennifer Say, and now Sophie Cunningham, who, by the way, her shoes sold out like in hours. So there is something to be said for being on the right side of an issue.
Yeah, my daughter, she plays multiple sports. She'll be a freshman in high school this year, and I saw the shoes before they came out, and I'm like, oh, those might be some good kicks for this coming season. And then they were gone. Yes. So the brand,
they were gone.
Yeah, the brand deal's not. This isn't hurting Sophie Cunningham in that capacity. I think it's helping in a lot of ways as well.
Yes, absolutely.
We're talking about the ability to stand up and push back against the people who have tried to keep common sense so quiet, because then they can just rule out of fear. I think we saw that this week on Capitol Hill with Anthony Fauci. But we're also looking at the Senate right now about the Save America Act, and we're waiting on some of these senators to stand up and save America. You want to be in the Senate. Your victory, Michele Tafoya's victory in Minnesota, would flip a blue seat to red. React to these things happening on Capitol Hill. You got to be thinking, if I were there, I would fill in the blank.
Yes, indeed. I would vote for the SAVE Act 100%. I mean, this is another one of those common sense issues. Gee, you have to show ID in order to vote in the freest country on earth. That is not controversial. And anyone who tries to make it so is doing so to make you feel like somehow you're sexist or racist, like women who get married. How are they going to possibly show an ID? This stuff is nonsensical, and you and I both know it, and I think most people know it. So I would like to force these Democrats onto the floor of the Senate to defend their position about not enforcing this, not invoking the SAVE Act, not passing the SAVE Act, not asking people to show their ID. If I go to get a prescription, I show my ID. Whenever I go to fly, I show my ID. If anyone wants to get a beer, they show their ID. So this is not, and now we're talking about the most precious thing we have, and that is to vote. So you have to wonder the motives of anyone voting against this SAVE Act. Look, I think that they're trying to get those votes, and if they don't have them this go around, they're going to have them when I get there.
I love it. Michele Tafoya speaking with us right now. I've got MicheleTafoya.com, just so everybody gets it straight. 1 L in Michele.
Thank you.
How is the campaign looking in Minnesota? I feel like it's one of those states that even though it tips a little bit blue most of the time, it definitely does feel like it could be a purple state. And Minnesota right now, for a lot of the reasons of Tim Walz and your attorney general there, making an absolute mess and mockery of the fine people of Minnesota, you got to think that this cycle, you might have a real chance of making that blue seat red in the United States Senate.
If not now, I don't know when. Honestly, and I've been all over the state, and the first word that comes out of people's mouth is an F word, and that is fraud. And it's People are fed up not only with the fact that it happened, but with the fact that the elected people in office who allowed it to happen have not paid a price. The only price that Tim Walz has paid is he has stepped down from running for a third term. So the governor's seat is open as well, and we will fight really hard to get a Republican elected there. But in my case, I'm going to be either running against Peggy Flanagan, who was our lieutenant governor during all of this, who is as left can be, who has had Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren in town, on the stump for her. She is a just a pure leftist. Either her or Angie Craig, who's a sitting congressman who is having to lurch to the left in order to compete. So I think the choice is very clear. Again, it's common sense, and the contrast is common sense versus crazy. In some cases now, it's fair to say common sense versus communism. It's just as clear a choice as we can make. So we feel good. Our fundraising has been beyond what we expected, which tells us that it's resonating with people. People want to get behind us and support us. People are concerned enough to do that. And look, this is the time. This is the time. And it's been 20 years, and I hope we break that cycle. I believe we will. I firmly believe we will.
Oh, well, Michele Tafoya, that's why we want to have you on the show here. Of course, it's St. Louis, but we're speaking to my home state here of Illinois, where a seat like yours turning red is going to affect me more than my Senate election, unfortunately, this cycle. People can support you. There's a big button on there, of course, at micheletafoya.com for people to donate. I'm encouraging you, imploring you to go click it and support Michele Tafoya and flip that seat red once and for all.
Yeah, the Senate goes beyond each state. This is about America. This is about preserving the Republican majority in the Senate.
Amen to that. Thank you for the time today. It's always great to have you with us.
Likewise. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye. Michele Tafoya, she is running for Senate out of the state of Minnesota, and she has a good chance.